Hey everyone, and welcome back to another weekly energy forecast or energy update, however you'd like to put that. This is Friday, November the 18th, and this message is going to be in flow into next week. I didn't get one out this week. I was away teaching, so getting this one out for you the best that I can. We do have, and I tried to record this earlier in the week, and I just had no message. I had no message. And it was so weird, but I had really no message. And I think it wasn't that, I feel like it was just that sense of not having enough energy, like there wasn't enough extra from what I was doing over here teaching and then trying to give enough to this. And that's something very important to recognize as you start to emotionally and spiritually evolve and grow, and you start to recognize within you energy and how energy and power is your life force energy, and what you have energy to, where you have energy to invest, and what energy you have to invest into anything. And so it's very important to recognize that if you don't have the energy, don't push it, don't force it. And this is not like one of those things of I have to, it's got to be out there, it's not a deadline. This, when you're working with spirit and you're working with divine energy, is it's when it's allowing the flow when there is a message to come. And everything that you try to force and try to make happen just to get enough content out there, just to have content, is then unauthentic, is not really truly authentic, and it doesn't really align to trusting the flow and trusting the divine, because you're trying to rely upon yourself only to be that which is that you think you need. So this week's message is about that, and it does go into there, and there's a little bit of an ass-kicking energy that's coming as well. So there is some real energy that's just like ready to kick our butts into gear, trying to really get us to a level up. It is time to start leveling up. We have bared witness to a lot of whys and a lot of reasons why it's so important for us to be accountable, fully accountable for our own self, but also for us to really truly recognize that it is so easy for us to get caught in the tailspin of everything else that's happening. But been given enough experience now for us to be able to really know the importance of thinking for ourselves, to make our own decisions, to do what is right for us, and to trust our own guidance. So important. Just had to do some readjusting. I was on wrong camera. So had to pause for a moment there. That's kind of where everything is in life. So there was, like I said, there is some real awareness coming with this energy, but some real kick in the butt energy as well. So we have some real kick in the butt energy that's happening around us. We have that sense of, you know what you have to do. You got all the tools. We've given you all the updates. We've given you all the advice, and what are you doing? How are you going about that? How are you doing it? And it's also, there is the energy that's coming in around our throat and around throat energy. And you may be bearing witness to a lot of people getting like sore throats. It is the season, but it's also the time of when we've had a lot of people talking and not a lot of listening, a lot of frustration, a lot of screaming, a lot of yelling, lot of lower vibrating energy that's been coming from the throat center. And that really is causing such a dense energy. And so the projection of thoughts that are unhealthy, the projection of unhealthy words, what is my truth? What is the truth? What is the truest narrative that we can seek and we can find? And that we don't always have to be fully in agreement with everyone. Remember that. But finding a way to be able to communicate, and what part of us is communicating through our messages. So that's some of the energy that you have happening this week. I did not do a monthly this month either, just for anyone who's wondering, where there was the monthly message that I do in the lives, and I didn't do one. So let me see what we have in the cards. I feel the need to go to the cards, and I'm going to trust this. So underline, what's underlying, what's the impact? have the smoke and mirrors. I have Mara, and when Mara, and when she is coming out, when she's presenting herself, she is like the lady in red. So she's like that kind of like scarlet energy, in a way. So she has the appearance of one thing, but who creates that energy and who kind of who brings out the worst in us? So that's it. That's it. Who brings out the worst in you, and what brings out the worst in you? And how easy is that to trigger within you? And that is the area of where our focus goes. Is, it's sometimes we can only take the high road for so long. And so there's a true authentic sense to this. And there's a cat looking in, and a cat absorbs those energies. So sometimes you get really tired of putting the face on for the world. You get really tired of having to convince people that it's okay. I'm just letting it slide. Or people just say this thing that's just so kind of like, just let it go. Just drop it. Just let it go. Well, once somebody has come at you and have come at you with their words, letting it go is not that easy, because it is an emotional attack. And so it enters in. So once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Once you hear, you can't unhear it. Once somebody says something to you, once it's said to you, it's hard to unhear it. And we've all done it. None of us are, free of that within ourselves. We've all contributed to being in that conversation at one point or the other, somewhere along the line. And so being able to just let it go is not always easy, but coming in and re-asking what was meant by that, what was the intention behind coming at me that way? Or, what is it? Why do you feel the need to always continually to get my goat, or to have that effect upon me? And by facing it, sometimes it's often will allow another to recognize sometimes they don't realize what they're doing, the program, and other times they do. So we're so programmed and conditioned to accept that type of behavior as okay or acceptable, that we don't realize that it has an impact or an effect upon another. And so where that is happening to you, or where that has happened to you, where you are still having to where it has kind of now bubbled, where you got this internal anger, and you're kind of having that sense of taking it out on yourself because you have no one else to take it out on. Sorry, I need to take a drink. That's what we have to look at, because there's your authentic true self. So what's your character, your truth? The pieces of you that really get attacked are your truth, are your truest versions of you. It's that hurt little self. It's the one that when nobody else is looking, but also that is also responding to all of the previous times when something like this would have happened to you. And then you turn around, and the person that you pick on the most, because you can't say what you need to say to where you need to say it, is to yourself, right? And so just letting it go is not always easy, to just let it go. And we're being told, see, here's temptations, here's unity. And sometimes we just want to run, want to avoid, or to join the gang, right? So when one person has already started it, the ripple effect of it, and keeping that narrative going, or keeping that energy alive, is not helping anyone. So bearing it all, being very honest about how it's impacting you, how, the effects that it's having upon you, is so important. I remember, not long ago in my own relationship, when I just had to say, I don't find that funny. Like, you may think what you're saying is funny, and it may be to a certain degree, but I don't feel good about it after it is said. And I feel like I step into defending myself when it is said. Now, if I had not have spoken up, it would never have stopped. And my partner would not have understood it, would not have thought anything of it, that it was happening. The moment I mentioned it, it's like, oh, and it was then there was a conversation to why it was bothering me. It had nothing to do with him, but it had to do with a whole lot more that was happening in my life, or that had previously happened. And it's like, I'm not all the way past being able to find that humorous. And so because I may laugh at it when you say it, it's because I'm trying to just, I'm trying to let go, but obviously I'm not letting go because it's having an impact upon me. And I may be running to the house and, I may be running to the cupboard and getting a chip and not knowing why. But the fact is that I'm not saying to you what needs to be said, like that. I don't like that. I don't appreciate that. It's not serving me. So getting those conversations going and clearing up old energy, clearing up old energy where conversations need to be had, and doing that's where we are. And so then we have Frida, she has the stargazer. We have everything we need to step into a ascendant version of ourselves, like a higher, living from a higher level of consciousness, like really leveling up in our lives. We have what it takes. We have what we need. We just have to sometimes find it again. It's like a lost book from the book of encyclopedias. It's misplaced. Sometimes we have so misplaced our own beliefs, our own energy, our own self, that it's hard to find ourselves. And this is about being able to find what is missing, to bring it in, and to use it to move forward in being our own sense of empowerment and self-improvement. And it is time for that sense of improving. And we need a lot of improvements in our world. We need a whole lot of improvements in our world. We really do. There's a lot of things that need some shaping up. It needs some updating, and it needs some upgrading. And then some other things need to, really look back at what wasn't broken. And there was things that weren't broken, and we try to break things because we try to make it so that it pleases everyone. You are never going to please everyone. You're never going to make everyone happy. You're never going to be able to be enough to make everyone happy. But getting all of your own way is never going to make you happy either. That sense of, oh, the whole world just like give everything to me and make the whole world go my way, then I'm going to find myself still just as miserable. And then what? Then what? Then what's the problem? What causes my problem now? Where's that problem coming in now? And so we have everything we need within us, no matter how chaotic the world is, no matter what's happening in the world. You do have everything in you that you need to start up leveling and upgrading your life. And sometimes that life that you think is like, well, I've created this and this is the way that I'm going to live. And I don't care if I'm pissing off the world. I don't really care. It's still not your truth. And it's not who you truly are. It's who you created to piss people off. It's who you created so that you didn't have to have the conversations, or that you can have a conversation about something that is just something more to argue about. It's like lip service, right? It's not really bringing a change. It's just contributing to, it's adding like fluff on top of an already shitty cake, right? And it's like you're trying to convince yourself that it's good. But if I decorate it how I like it, then maybe I'll like what's inside. You're never going to like what's inside until you really truly get to what is my true flavor, what is my true essence, what is my truth. And so this is a time, and the energy that's here is truly about the changes that we make brings the miracles into our lives that we really want to see. And if you want to see miracles happen in your life, then you really have to, bring forth that energy of truth, of letting your true self speak. And I actually just wrote I am writing a speech for I'm a keynote speaker next week, and at an event. And so where did I write this? Let me see if I can find this. Just bear with me for just 1 second while I see if I can find what I'm looking for. And if not, then maybe it's not meant to be heard or to be. So basically, you just open up a book and you just start writing because you got it in your head. That's what I did. And now I don't know where I wrote it. But basically what it was that sense of, I got it. I had to pause to find this. So it was, when you continually have that fear of letting yourself be seen or letting your true self be seen is that the space that you speak from is the space that is of fear. It is the space that you have to create something from your shadow self, from your image, from that sense of identity. You have to create something from the world outside of yourself. You have to get all those details down. We fear letting our truth speak. But the truth, when spoken from the place of discovery within ourselves, from being fully present, to not be afraid to let our vulnerability and our weakness be present, it speaks from the soul. And as a storyteller and as somebody who takes those life stories and uses them without that emotional attachment to them, is allowing the vulnerability to speak, allowing the soul to come through the shadow, to walk through the light, to be present in that ability to be able to communicate. And that great sense of listening. So before those words come out, before I speak, is I am listening. So as fast as these words come, with it is coming these messages. And I speak what I'm hearing. And what I'm hearing is what comes out from that, from the soul, from the divine. When I sense that sense of, scattered energy, and I'm trying to think through those thoughts, or you're trying to make a conversation, it becomes such an effort. And it's such a hard thing to do because it is, it's coming with thought. And so all of the thoughts of, I need to say this is what I want people to hear. Well, I don't know what people need to hear. And so because I don't really know, and we assume, is that I say, I have no idea what's needed here today, or what's needed when I go there. But you do. So give me the information, give me the divine inspiration to be able to communicate through with a flow, an ease, and a knowing that I may not even remember being there, but the presence of the divine will be left in the room. And that's what we do. And when we can come from that place, what kind of presence do we want to leave behind when we leave a room, when we leave a conversation, even if it's the toughest of conversations? Do we want to leave others feeling how we felt? Or would we love to be able to, or would we like to be able to up-level the world, to be able to leave things better than when we arrived, to leave a conversation, to leave a relationship better than what it was, because we know what it feels like to have that hurt. We know what it feels like to feel that way within ourselves, to have that fear of letting ourselves be seen. So that continual. So even if it's a difficult conversation where you don't take the high road, if you let the truth come from the soul, you leave that room, you leave that relationship, you leave that experience thinking, I just spoke that truth. Now, how others receive it is not up to you. And I did everything that I could, and I spoke it from a place of authenticity. And from that place of being authentic and being true to myself, I said what needed to be said, and I left the divine presence within the room. And we just hope that it's because who and what we start to speak to is you speak to the spirit, you speak to the soul, you speak to the essence, and not to the human who is continually in the patterns of the behaviors that they cannot yet see. But the soul knows, and the soul will keep that message replaying in some sort of way of light through them. It's like, hey, maybe there's something to this. And the changes that come is by people's choices to then say, you know what? I want to make that change. I want to do that. I want to be that. And so when we can truly listen from that place of just what needs to be said, not I need to say this, and this is what I'm going to say, and this is what I'm going to do, but what needs to be said. So what needs to be spoken through you, what needs to be said, what needs to be spoken to yourself, what needs to be healed, and what needs to really truly have that sense of healthy conversation and not really be caught up in leaving more of everything we don't want to feel by leaving more of that in the world. Let's leave in this world more of everything that we would love to experience, love to feel, and let's start bringing that bliss and the beauty into the world. Much love. Have a beautiful weekend, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.